DJ Vlad responds to Boosie quitting VladTV interviews. Let's talk about it.
Boosie recently did a live where he revealed parts of this conversation, and in his live, he said that he had asked for $5,000 more, and I said no, which is why he's not going to do the interview. Now, that's not exactly accurate. So, I wasn't going to put any of this out there, but because he started putting out numbers out there and people started going, oh, Vlad being cheap, why is it only 5,000? You could pay him that, not knowing the whole picture. So I'm going to lay out the whole picture for everyone just to explain what exactly is going on. So when I called Boosie, like I said, the fee had always been $25,000. He said, I want $40,000. And I'm like, fam, I can't do 40,000. That's just putting me in the hole in a situation like this. He's like, well, I'll go as low as 35. And I'm like, man, listen, I might be able to do 30 after I run the numbers, but 35 is definitely out of the question. But let me go ahead and run my numbers and actually see what's going on. So I went back and I looked through the last, 5 or 6 interviews, and I looked, and the profit margin on each of these interviews was around $10,000. So I showed him the numbers. I sent him a spreadsheet showing him my back end numbers. And I'm like, bro, the most I could do is 25. You're asking for 35. Your traffic has been dipping over the years. You've gone from about 6 million to about 5.5 to about 5 and some change. So you're looking at about maybe a 10, 15% decrease in views, which means a 10 to 15% decrease in revenue, as you know, but you're asking for a 40% increase in appearance fee, a 40% increase. It doesn't make any business sense, because what'll end up happening is, look, Boosie's already at home, right? He wakes up, he does the interview. There's no cost associated with him, and he was getting paid $25,000. I have to fly because I don't have a studio or a camera crew in Georgia, in Atlanta, so I have to hire a camera crew in Atlanta. I have to fly from LA to Atlanta. I have to get a hotel. I have to have all the costs associated with it. And then afterwards, I have to pay to get the video edited and pay my crew and everything else like that. And as you know, with YouTube, I'm taking all the risk because sometimes videos get demonetized, right? Especially when you talk about someone like a Boosie who has, he swears, he's talking about a lot of edgy stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm taking 100% of the risk. So I'm like, listen, I cannot pay you $35,000 when I'm going to make nothing, or maybe I'm even going to take a loss. Boosie recently did a lot.
All right, y'all. I'm going to keep it all the way 100. This is why you should never talk about your business to others, especially your business of what you're paying somebody. That should always be between you and the person you're doing business with. You should never go and speak on it to others as to what you paid this person for an interview or for a podcast or anything. You should never speak on that to anybody publicly, because when you do tell people, those people can go and tell a lot of others in your industry and can really go on the internet with it. I truly believe, I'm going to be all the way 100. I believe Boosie upped his price because he heard what 6ix9ine got for a VladTV interview. I believe that's why Boosie upped his price. Now, what Vlad is saying here, I 100% agree with. In Boosie's live, he was saying that Vlad turned down a $5, a $5,000 increase. He said that Boosie turned down a $5,000 increase, which was untrue. It was actually $10,000. He wanted a $10,000 increase. And because Boosie was getting paid $25,000 for a full interview, for a full 2-hour interview, and he could do it from home, he could do it from wherever. Vlad was actually flying in to do Boosie interviews. So he wanted to go from $25,000 to $35,000, and I 100% see what Vlad is saying here. It just realistically doesn't make any sense. He even asked 1090 Jake in this interview as well, would he pay that money to have Boosie on his platform? And 1090J said he would politely decline that offer. It just realistically doesn't make any sense, especially where Vlad says he pulls up his analytics and pulls up the numbers to show that Boosie's numbers have actually been dipping over the years. His numbers have actually been declining over the years. So it really doesn't even make sense. Honestly, Vlad was honestly blessing him, giving him 25 grand. He was blessing that nigga, giving him $25,000. Because really, he should be getting way less. Way less. And another thing is, too, when you go on these platforms for an interview, you're actually helping to build that platform up. You're helping to build that platform when you go on there to do an interview. Now, when you also go and do a bunch of others interview, you do like a podcast over here, you do an interview over here, you do a bunch of other interviews, your leverage starts to decline because you're everywhere now. You're everywhere. So the numbers you might do on this podcast here, you may go over here, you could actually do less numbers. So that's the other thing about being on so many different interviews and podcasts, so many different platforms, like Boosie did. And like Boosie, he's actually creating his own platform now and doing his own interviews. He's having his kids interview him. And that's what's up. Like, I'm always for anybody who has their own platform, but now Boosie is actually going to see the other side of. He's actually going to see the side of what Vlad was going through and what he had to deal with, and that's where it's really going to show, because already it's going to take a long time for Boosie to even start making the money on his YouTube channel that he was making at VladTV. Truthfully, I think Boosie will be back on VladTV's chair. I really think so. Once more time goes by, he starts putting out content, he'll start to see how the numbers look, how the money comes in, and I can definitely see Boosie back on Vlad's chair for sure. 100% for sure. But yeah, man. 100% where I see where Vlad is coming from in this one. I gotta say, I agree with Vlad on this one. Boosie is just, he just felt some type of way. He just wanted to feel valued. He really wanted to feel valued, especially after seeing what 6ix9ine got. But the thing is that the leverage that 6ix9ine got versus the leverage Boosie has is on two totally, completely different levels. Because one, 6ix9ine had done an interview in an extremely long time. The interview that 6ix9ine did with Vlad actually ended up being the biggest interview of the year last year, and had the biggest memes too as well. So the value from the 6ix9ine interview and Boosie interviews, it was just different in that moment. Now, obviously, if 6ix9ine came back on the platform, he would definitely be working with Vlad, and I'm sure he'd be taking less than what he did the first time he came on VladTV. Because another thing is with VladTV, he does a really good job for sure at getting your whole entire story when you first come on the platform from the very beginning up until where you are now. So, yeah, man. Just my final thoughts on it, man. I just think Boosie's just tripping, man. He's just tripping, and I 100% see where Vlad is coming from. But yeah, yo, let me know what y'all think about this story in the comments below. Love.